6:42 hours, Western Pacific Ocean. The morning horizon was quiet, a pale line separating deep blue water from steel-gray sky. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual, but below that calm surface, tension was already building. Because today, the world's most powerful carrier strike group was on the move. At the center, the USS Ronald Reagan CVN-76, a U.S. Nimitz-class nuclear-powered supercarrier, escorted by one guided missile cruiser, USS Shiloh, two Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, a Los Angeles-class fast-attack submarine operating unseen below, a wall of U.S. naval firepower moving steadily through international waters. 7:11 hours, first contact. The first radar signature appeared quietly on the AN/SPY-1D sensor aboard the USS Shiloh. Two surface vessels, large displacement, long-range missile profiles. Signal confirmation took only seconds. People's Liberation Army Navy, Type-055 Renhai-class destroyers. The Chinese warships were closing distance, not parallel, not trailing, but approaching from opposite angles as if boxing in the carrier group. Their formation wasn't random, it was tactical, the kind used during intercept drills. 7:19 hours, radio silence. Usually, when two naval forces meet, radio communication begins early. This time, nothing. The two Chinese destroyers moved steadily, matching speed and orientation without transmitting the usual maritime identification signals. Their silence was intentional, a message of its own. 7:25 hours, intelligence alert. A short encrypted message flashed to the carrier's Combat Information Center. Plan vessels conducting assertive approach. Maintain defensive posture. No escalation order, no redirect, just two instructions. Hold position, keep watching. 7:33 hours, the flyover. Before the U.S. ships could broadcast a hailing call, a shadow crossed the deck of the USS Ronald Reagan, an aircraft. Low, fast, a Chinese Y-9 electronic warfare aircraft, the aerial equivalent of a listening post, flew directly above the strike group. Its sensors were active. It wasn't observing the carrier, it was scanning it. One U.S. radar operator whispered under his breath, "They're mapping us." 0741 hours, visual contact. Through binoculars, U.S. sailors spotted them clearly. Two massive Type-055 destroyers, sleek angular hulls designed for stealth radar reduction, each one armed with 112 vertical launch missile cells, anti-ship cruise missiles, long-range surface-to-air systems, and rumored, though unconfirmed, prototype hypersonic interceptors. These weren't patrol ships. These were capital-class hunters designed to counter, threaten, and, if necessary, cripple aircraft carriers. 0747 hours, hail attempt. Finally, the U.S. Navy broadcast the standard communication. Chinese naval vessels, this is United States Navy warship operating in accordance with international law. Request you maintain safe distance and acknowledge presence. Silence. The Chinese ships continued advancing. 7:52 hours, aggressive maneuver. Suddenly, the first Type-055 destroyer shifted course, abruptly turning across the projected path of the USS Shiloh. It wasn't collision course distance, but it wasn't friendly either. A calculated provocation distance, close enough to challenge, far enough to avoid legal escalation. Crew on board described it later as a silent test to see who would move first. 7:59 hours, response decision. The carrier strike group could do one of three things: alter course, signaling submission, increase speed, signaling fear, hold exact speed and bearing, signaling confidence. The U.S. chose option 3. The ships stayed on their trajectory. The Type-055 destroyers adjusted position again, now sailing parallel like black steel shadows. Still no radio communication, still no orders, just presence. 8:04 hours, electronic interference. Then the first anomaly appeared. Encrypted communications between the destroyers and the carrier suddenly experienced a subtle disruption. Not a jam, not a block, but a signal delay. One U.S. technician spoke quietly. "We're being mirrored." The Chinese ships were not attacking communications. They were copying them, analyzing, recording, learning. 8:12 hours, the helicopter test. A U.S. MH-60R Seahawk helicopter lifted off from the carrier. Standard reconnaissance procedure. As soon as it cleared deck height, the nearest Type-055 launched its own helicopter, a Harbin Z-20, mirroring the altitude and direction. Two aircraft from rival militaries flying in near-perfect parallel formation, separated by nothing but air and tension. Neither changed course, neither backed off. A standoff in the sky. 18-19 hours. the unknown transmission. Then something unexpected happened. The Chinese destroyer finally transmitted, but not in clear voice. Instead, a short encrypted burst was sent directly toward the carrier. Just one line in the post-analysis file translated, "Observation complete," but analysts weren't sure whether it meant, "We understand you," or "We got what we came for." 0824 hours, the turnaway. Without warning, both Type 055 destroyers reduced speed, then turned sharply away from the strike group. No weapons engaged, no warnings issued, no explanation given. They left as silently as they arrived. Within minutes, their radar signatures began fading. Within 30 minutes, they disappeared beyond detection range. 907 hours, operational summary. The official entry in the U.S. Navy operational log read, "Assertive shadow encounter, no kinetic engagement, plan demonstrated coordinated tracking, electronic profiling, and formation testing." But the unwritten conclusion shared privately among officers was far less clinical. China wasn't checking boundaries. They were measuring confidence. 911 hours, silence after departure. The ocean returned to calm. No radar warnings, no intercepted frequencies, no close-quarter maneuvers. For a brief moment, the USS Ronald Reagan Strike Group believed the encounter had ended, but beneath the surface, literally, the real situation was only beginning. 918 hours, sonar contact. A faint acoustic signature appeared on the USS Shiloh's sonar display. Low frequency, slow movement. Not a whale, not commercial traffic, a submarine. The sonar operator ran the pattern through the recognition system. It took less than a second. Plan: Type 093B nuclear attack submarine, confirmed. It was close, too close. 921 hours, depth change. The submarine didn't approach aggressively. Instead, it matched the exact speed of the carrier group, mirroring the U.S. formation underwater just as the Type 055 destroyers had mirrored them above. Someone, somewhere, was coordinating these movements with precision, almost like choreography. 927 hours, a second contact. Another signature appeared. Not one submarine, two, both operating at different depths, one shallow, one deep, in a layered tracking pattern typically used in wartime surveillance or live-fire rehearsal. A U.S. officer muttered, "This wasn't an encounter, it was a training scenario, and we were the subject." 933 hours, signal burst. Suddenly, the deep submarine transmitted a short acoustic pulse, encrypted with modern digital modulation. The message wasn't directed at the U.S. Navy. It was directed upward, toward the two Type 055 destroyers now miles away. The response came instantly, a synchronized array of encrypted bursts from both destroyers. The entire Chinese formation was still connected, digitally invisible but tactically unified. 940 hours, aircraft launch. The U.S. Navy responded the only way it could without escalating. An E-2D Advanced Hawkeye airborne early warning aircraft launched from the Ronald Reagan's deck. Its powerful radar began scanning sky and sea. Within seconds, the picture became clear. What looked like random behavior was actually a complete Chinese surveillance sphere around the carrier group. Surface ships, submarines, electronic warfare aircraft, encrypted communication relays, a full intelligence encirclement. 952 hours, unexpected message. Then, for the first time, the Chinese transmitted in clear voice, "United States Navy. This concludes observation exercise. No hostility, no demand, no order, just a statement, as if briefing a participant, not an adversary." 10:04 hours, withdrawal. The two submarines gradually reduced speed and broke formation, descending into deep water where sonar clarity faded. The Type 055 destroyers sailed farther east, maintaining distance. Within an hour, all Chinese assets had disappeared from radar, sonar, and satellite detection. As silently as they appeared, they were gone. 1037 hours. Final assessment. The official incident log recorded coordinated multi-domain tracking operation, plan-tested carrier surveillance response, and formation integrity. But in off-record analysis, the message was clearer. China didn't come to interfere. They came to prove a point, not to the world, but directly to the United States. We can track you, we can surround you, and we can disappear at will. It wasn't an attack, it was a demonstration. And demonstrations are never random. They are warnings.